Hello, BookTube, and welcome back to Cimmerian September 2025. This is Michael K. Vaughn's BookTube event where we read Robert E. Howard, specifically Conan, or this year, anything that Robert E. Howard wrote, any of the wide variety of stuff that he wrote. And I am rebelling against that quite a bit. I am reading nothing by Robert E. Howard. I'm reading instead what amounts to fan fiction, people writing pastiche fiction of Conan the Barbarian. Because I have a stack of these old black and white Marvel Savage Sword of Conan issues that are burning a hole in my pocket. I want to get to all of them. And it looks like I have one for every day of the month. I could double up. I could vary these things. We could do other Conan stuff, but I'm having a ball going through these things. And no one's watching these videos anyway. So I thought we would go back once again to the 1980s when all the world made sense. And to Savage Sword of Conan number 110. I complained last time that the cover of issue number 109 was not good. Well, all things come to those who complain, and I got a great cover this time around, Earl Norham. Look at that. Just look at how beautiful that is. How it puts to shame the lazy, dumb covers that we have been looking at. That is thoroughly textured and wonderful. And it also it glances at the contents of the issue. The main story that we're going to read here is written by Bill Mantlo and illustrated by this Gary Quapiz guy, who here does not have a strong inker. So here I'm finally getting a chance to see what his artwork might actually be like. And Bill Mantlo is not the type of writer, he's not the writer that we've had recently. He's much more known, I would imagine, for superhero comics. The story is called The Army of the Dead. And it starts off with a frontispiece of Conan fighting against zombies that have arrows to their heads and whatnot. But that's not how the actual story begins. The actual story begins with Conan leading a band of cutthroat mercenaries in the middle of snowy mountains. They are dying of starvation. And Conan tells them the reason why that is because the reason why they're faring so poorly and he's not is because he didn't prioritize his jewels and gems and stolen stuff over food for himself and food for his horse. They actually ask him that. They say, how is it that Conan still rides when our own steeds have long since starved? How is it that Conan stays strong and fresh when hunger has made us little more than stumbling shadows? And Conan says, your steeds would not have starved had you filled your saddlebags with grain instead of gold. And yourselves would not be gaunt with hunger if you'd thrown aside a small portion of your plunder instead of abandoning your provisions. And that has a nice, sonorous ring to it. I noticed that right away when I was reading this issue, is that the writing here is much better than Michael Fleischer. There's a very rich tone to it that is maybe a little too elevated for some of Robert E. Howard's own Conan stories, but not for all of them. I actually really enjoyed that. His men try to bribe him. They try to spend some of the treasure that they've plundered to get him to give them some of their food or whatnot. But he refuses, and so they fight. In panels like this that are fairly okay, Conan decides quickly that he will have an advantage against this many people if he is mounted. But one of the men stabs his horse, just stabs it in the back, and it falls over. And the men say, sheath thy sword, Conan. There is no longer any reason to fight. Now we can all feast upon your slain steed. And first of all, I want to point out, that will not slay a steed. that will probably not cause a steed to fall down either. It will probably cause a steed to get really, really angry. The equivalent of that stab in your own ample buttocks would not slay you either. But it doesn't matter, because Conan is furious now, and he keeps disemboweling these men, and their cries let loose an avalanche. and Conan tries to outrun it. You cannot outrun an avalanche, so it eventually catches him. And when he awakens, we get these big, generous page panels where, when he awakens, he is freezing. He has no horse. He has no provisions. He has no clothing, and he juts himself under a rock. But he doesn't have any means to make fire, and he is slowly freezing to death. And he tries to warn himself, don't fall asleep, which is good advice. Don't fall asleep in a circumstance like that, because you won't wake up again. And when he's asleep, he has a dream in which he meets Crom, the Cimmerian god, who I believe has never been pictured before explicitly in a Conan comic book. At least I don't ever remember that happening. There he is on his throne. He looks grim, fittingly, and he says to sleep is to die. No fitting fate for one destined to be crowned king. And Conan that wakes Conan up. And he wakes up just in time to hear the muffled tread of a measured marching. An army is walking right by where he is there in the snow. Look at this double panel spread there. You've got the men. You've got the siege towers pulled by elephants. And Conan has no idea who these people are. He says, there is no sound, no clamor of arms, no snorting of straining beasts. None of such sounds as should accompany the passage of so many men and machines of war. No sound, only the strange sepulchral silence sighing across the snows. Wait, warriors, he says, whither, I would ask, whither you march so intent on war? And one of the soldiers, who is obviously dead, says, we march upon the city of life, warrior. Fall in with us, or miss the final battle. And so Conan does. He falls in with these shambling corpses, and they come upon a beautiful city, the city of life. And they attack it, and Conan attacks with it. What's he going to do? Otherwise, another big 2-page spread there. I guess these wide open panel arrangements are Quappish, the artist here. There's definitely these wide open panel arrangements and interesting use of horizontal space was the panel arrangement of other issues when the artwork said it was by him and inked by Ernie Chan, and I was thinking it's just Ernie Chan. That is true. That is common. So probably I am now looking at this artist as the dead attack this city. And of course, every single soldier from the City of Life that they kill immediately wakes up and is a member of their own forces, now dead. So everyone they kill is increasing their own number. And the folks up on the parapets, 2 of them are the queen and her chief counselor. And the chief counselor fires an arrow and shoots Conan, and he falls over. When daybreak comes, the dead people retreat back to the cold. But the queen notices that Conan cried out in pain and bled. So he is not dead. And she orders that he be brought into the city. And we have this right here, panels like that right there. And let me show you, there are other ones that I can show you. Like, for instance, Conan wakes up in an elaborately apportioned room. Look at, you can sort of see it here, and a little bit in how the proportions don't exactly work with the room sort of bending that way and the table not quite fading in the right direction. That is a foremost indication that this was drawn from a picture, and that maybe some of these people in here in this issue were drawn from models or photographs, rather than being done in the stylized way of comic book illustrations. I doubt very much that Ernie Chan ever drew from a model or a photograph, but in this thing, that happens a lot. And we get see, look at this crowd. That is just friends of the author, or the artist. These are just people that the artist knows. But we get the story of who these dead men are. They were mercenaries hired by the city and then betrayed by them. So they were all slaughtered, and now that they're dead, they want vengeance on the City of Life for betraying them. All sorts of echoes of Tolkien in this issue, all sorts of them. And this has been the policy all along. The army attacks every night and retreats every day, every time day breaks. Slowly they are filling their ranks to a point where they will be unbeatable. And everyone in the City of Life knows this. And Conan doesn't understand a lot. He does. This is a cursed place, and he doesn't know what to make of it. He has pretty intimate conversations with the queen and her brother, her chief advisor, both of whom are drawn obviously from life. They're obviously drawn from people, it's a little awkward. It's a little awkward. It's not the way. It doesn't work in comics to do that, I don't think. To draw from either models or 3D modeling in computer programming now, or from people's faces. Every once in a blue moon, you can make it work if you are, for instance, Alex Ross. But in a normal comic book, it's Alex Ross, when he is drawing people from real life, he idealizes them. He adds his own artistry. He isn't just mimicking a photograph. So, which is why when you get a deluxe edition of some issue that he's drawn, you will often be shown his actual personal models, so that you can right away spot how he is transforming them with his art. There's precious little transforming going on here. Conan, as you can see, is totally frustrated. He has no idea what's going on here. No idea what. You get more of these big two-page spreads where the army of the dead is fighting these living beings, and every person that dies joins the ranks of the enemy. Conan throws a hissy fit and thinks that the main reason why the queen wants him around is so that he can impregnate her. But she says, no, you've misunderstood. I don't want you to impregnate me. I want you to leave. Kill me and leave. She gives him a horse. It's forbidden for anyone to leave the City of Life, but they're going to make an exception for Conan, except her chief advisor doesn't want to do that and fights Conan, or at least tries to. Conan doesn't want to fight him. He thinks that the strain of their constant daily attacks is playing on the guy, and that that's all it is. But there doesn't seem to be a solution. The City of Life has no sorcerers. We are told in the flashback with the father of the queen, the old king, that the rarefied mountain air of the city allows its inhabitants to live longer, but that it's not eternal life. It's nothing. There's nothing mystical about it. And in the course of fighting her advisor, the queen gets in the way and is killed, and immediately comes to life again as one of these dead people. Only she is lovely. She is not a shambling monster with no eyes. She is still herself. And she urges Conan to flee the city. You see, you get more of this drawing from friends that is just awkward. It arrests your eye in a way that you don't want it to do in a normal crowd scene. Conan takes his horse and flees. He hacks his way out past all of these rotting corpses to witness from afar the final victory against the City of Life, because the queen and her advisor are also dead now. Everyone's dead now. So the city is just burning with corpses inside it. So these betrayed dead men have had their revenge. And that's the end of the story. Conan just rides off. What's his final thing? Eternal life was promised them, but death everlasting was all they claimed. Come, horse, let's find a way out of these mountains where a man too often finds death staring him in the face. And that's the story. Very simple thing. It's theorized by the queen and her assistant, her main advisor, that the reason that the army of the dead did not kill Conan is because he was so close to being dead himself when he joined them. He was starving to death. They have to nurse him back to health. So that's why he gets to march with the dead and briefly mistakes their errand before he realizes that at least temporarily he should be on the side of life. It's a very parable-type Conan story. There really isn't a bad guy. the young queen and her young counselor were babies when this treachery was done to these men. They've just inherited a rotten situation, and the dead certainly aren't to blame. The closest we come to a villain are those stupid thieving companions of Conan, and they all die in the first page. So, an interesting and odd Conan story that I would still nevertheless give 3 lopped heads, because it was very, very enjoyable, and Conan never really steps out of character. So we're doing well for Cimmerian September. We'll move on to another story tomorrow. Thank you, BookTube.